We're going to pretend like you haven't been charged with anything.
Perfect.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think that's the best route?
Well, I think so, because I technically haven't been charged with any crime. So.
Oh no. Okay. But
no, I've been fined and charged, but they're not real. Like, they'll never stand in court.
Fantastic. Thanks for having a Lock to the Launchpad podcast. This is a platform for free speech and a place for people to speak freely. I have Matt on the program. He's owner of the Pub House, and we're going to be talking about how you reluctantly had to put passports into place. We're going to get all into that and go through kind of the emotions, because there's definitely a lot of animosity, I find, going from the person, let's say, that does not have their vaccine passport, and then you having to enforce something and them thinking that obviously maybe you're behind it. I guess that would be tops on your head, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I'm like an unvaccinated guy myself. I put it out there. No one's come knocking down my door yet. And when I'm going through this whole thing, I'm personally having a lot of animosity towards people that have passports. Like the truckers kind of did what I wanted the restaurateurs to do, which is say, like, you know what, we're all not going to do this and we're going to stay open. But everyone comes from a different background. You guys are looking at severe penalties for staying open. Now, if you were to defy, what are they looking to nail you with in regards to fines?
Well, the latest was possible arresting and brought to a medical center for a medical review. So I'm really not sure what that means. Not many restaurants received that letter.
Right.
But I mean, the typical fines, we've received a couple $1,000s in fines, and just a lot of scare tactic stuff, really, is what it is. I think in the last letter we received from them, it was up to no more than $5,000 a day to operate against I believe it was the Section 22 is what they said that we were closed down from.
Okay.
Simple mask mandate. They they didn't like that we have employees that are exempted, whether it's a disability exemption or whatever the exemption is. I'm not allowed to question that. I just have to, I have to be there to make sure the workplace is safe for all employees. And the disagreement with the health unit was there, and that's where the big channel came.
Okay. So I don't.
They're on fire.
Do we want to get now? Okay. So we just started with that. Now that was just like I wanted to warm you up a little bit. You're okay talking about that kind of stuff?
Sure.
Yeah. So that's it, because that's kind of like part of your ongoing thing, though, right?
So yeah, maybe.
Right. We'll okay. Yeah. Right. So I see. I want the dirt. Believe me. But I also want to make sure I'm not fucking up your shit.
We got to start this over.
We're gonna start this over. Okay. And we have to really just try and focus on pretending that didn't happen yet. We can talk about the mask, man. You can talk about how we can get into the mask. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But as far as all the charges that you're facing and stuff, like, we'll try to stay away. We're going to pretend like you haven't been charged with anything.
Perfect.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think that's the best route?
Well, I think so, because I technically haven't been charged with any crime. So.
Oh no. Okay. But
no, I've been fined and charged, but they're not real. Like, they'll never stand in court.
Okay, but you haven't.
I don't know. Fuck it. I don't even care, man. Let's just, whatever. Let's just go. Let's roll with it. I don't even give a shit.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I didn't fucking care. That's my problem. We're even tonight. Like we wrote. We sent in our new policy based on what they want us to do.
Right.
And they still came back with, well, what are you going to do about your exempted employees? And it's like, well, I guess fucking fire them. I don't know what else to do. Like we said, it is so silly.
All right. So hold on. Since we're going to keep this in, is that you have employees that have medical exemptions for not wearing masks. Legally, you are not allowed to question that. Yeah. Okay, that request. Yeah. And so you don't. And then you got in trouble for doing that.
I got told that I can fire the employee.
Right.
That was the guidance they gave me, and they wanted to know the reason of exemption, and I just said, listen, this is this is where you're treading on ground where I'm liable now.
All right. Right.
So basically the policy we sent says, these are your rules. This is your policy. If I get charged, you're responsible. Do you agree? Because it's silly, right? It's
I've had a similar situation. I do dog sitting and I use a third party app sometimes. And they were upset with me that apparently I wasn't telling people that I was unvaccinated before they come into my house.
right.
And I said, if they were really all that concerned, number one, they can ask. And then number two, I can do whatever I want with that information. And I do a podcast anyways, telling people all around the world that I don't. So it's not that big of a deal. But there was a lot of prejudice there. And I told them, and this is kind of what ended the correspondence, was I'm not sure if you're aware, because it's a global company, but here in Canada, that I'm opening myself up to liability by asking people whether or not, you know, they're vaccinated. So if I don't have a problem with it, they shouldn't have a problem with it. So let's rewind this a little bit. You're a father, you have 5 children?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, 5 kids. So when it comes to just like closing the doors, that's not a very easy thing to do. And it's a wild thing when we're talking about, you know, public safety, then you're also thinking about making money, right? About keeping food in your family's mouths and a roof over the head. Now, we'll just do full disclosure. You challenge the narrative. I challenge the narrative as well. So it's a little bit more a difficult pill to swallow when you don't necessarily believe what's happening. And that is now. Now let's go to the beginning. Okay, let's start at the beginning. We hear about COVID. Everyone's getting locked down. There's a lot of frustration as being a business owner. And then we start coming around to these vaccine passports. You start hearing that you might have to ask people for their papers before they come to your restaurant. What are the thoughts in your head then?
No. I reached out to legal guidance and said, can I do that? And I was instructed, no, you can't. You know, you can't do that. You know, under the Bill of Rights, you know, the freedom of people's health is if someone chooses to express that with you, that's fine. That's not something you could ask for. So I knew that I knew something was up, that they were trying to put businesses in that position. I was super uncomfortable, not gonna lie. I think I did a Facebook post and I said I would never ask for that stuff. We won't segregate. You know, we're all human at the end of the day, you know, vaccinated or not. And then closer to the date when we had to ask for passes, we actually just ended up shutting the dining room down.
Right. So you didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Now, at what point did you open and you did have to ask?
We had a lot of people coming to us and asking, and I got to be careful what I'm saying here until the next time we can carry this on, but
okay, let me rephrase. At one point you reopen and you're asking for passports.
Correct.
Right. Okay. And now what did that feel like to you? I'm sure, did you have friends that you had to say no to?
It went against every moral fiber in my body, I'm not gonna lie. And not just that, I didn't want to place my staff in that uncomfortable position where they're liable as well. So I was very clear with the staff on this, but there was staff that had to make money and there was staff that said, I don't mind, I'll do it, I'm comfortable. You know, so we had told the health department that if something goes up, like who's liable for this kind of stuff? They're so lost too. Like the amount of information that they don't know even on the stuff they're doing. Like, I really don't think that they know what they're doing is against the law. You know what I mean?
You know what?
I really don't think they know.
Yeah, I wonder as well. I think there's a lot of people, obviously, they're just carrying out orders, right? Just like restaurateurs are following what they believe is the right path. I mean, at least to stay open. If you're closed, you're really fucked.
So we got asked to do a couple of private functions for, I won't say what arm of what it was, but it was large corporate event stuff. These people were gladly to police their own vaccination and come to us with that. They basically just assured us everything was good to go. Head counts were done. And we knew, based on the criteria of who these people were and what they did, that they were there. You know, so we did a couple of large private events for them because they were not allowed to do that in their kind of neck of the woods.
Right.
So it started there, and then we opened up a few days a week to invite patrons to come in that, vaccinated patrons with their families that are still also supporters of the pub.
Okay. Now, what about the people that would show up and didn't? Like, what is the feeling like for you? Because I'm going to speak on behalf of just like my end. I would not be able to go to your restaurant when they were enforcing passports.
So what
And
I
it was
did,
really difficult. It was really difficult for me to be able to say, okay, like that's a business and they're being scared. It shouldn't even be put on them to begin with, right? So for the person that came to your place that was asked for a passport and maybe was turned away, what do you want to say to that person right now?
come back Friday, I'm going to wrap my entire patio with some sort of tarpage. I'll put a couple of salamander heaters in there. I'll put a live music artist in there, and I'll make it up to you. I apologize.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do when especially during this time when every restaurant was being starved, because that's what it is. It was starving every business essentially, to turn away a customer, and especially a patron that's a supporter of what you do. We gave away as many deals, but we legitimately wrapped our entire patio with army tarps, and like I even tried to have barbecue in there. I cranked the barbecue to like 700 degrees, and
right.
we ended up melting a large portion of one of the tarps. But yeah, people came. They still came. They came in their winters, and they sat out there at -30, and we just laughed about how crazy this whole thing was. And like, keep in mind, I can't eat in my own restaurant up until now.
Right.
So I
Wow.
can
That's
work
crazy.
it.
Right.
The science says it's okay for me to be a bartender and work it, but to bring my kids into my own restaurant was illegal.
Yeah, that's the crazy stuff. I remember when I first heard how it was going to work, to where, I'm not going to be able to attend my own trade show that I put on. And
Right.
yet there's a restaurant that's open to where you can have an unvaccinated hostess,
Yeah.
an unvaccinated server,
Yeah.
an unvaccinated cook, and
Yeah.
they can bring your food to you. And that's no problem whatsoever, but I can't
Yeah.
sit down there.
Right. I mean,
And
hence how all the greatest memes of our generation started.
right. I think that's what made it more difficult for everybody involved, right? Is that
Yeah.
the owners taking on a responsibility that they shouldn't have to. And the government didn't want to put it solely on themselves, because that's a lot of heat, right? So let you guys
Well,
take the brunt of it. And I think
yeah.
they do know that they're going to be open to liability later on, the people potentially that put some of
Well,
these
I
things into
mean,
play.
whether they know or not, regardless, they played the part, so they are open for it. I mean, you could see how this worked. It got passed from federal, it got to provincial, from provincial to county, county to city. There was no liability shield at all. And
Right.
then once, you give someone enough rope, I guess, to hang themselves. But for us, it's funny at first when you think back at it, but it's so ridiculous because it makes no sense. And that's the hardest part of it, is because the ridiculousness of it is how, we live in a country where you have God-given rights you have the God-given rights to feed your family. So it feels pretty disgusting when you
Right.
can't do that, when you have to look at your staff and say, I'm sorry, I have to work your shift, there's just no money. But you have the politicians on the other side saying, we got you, Canada, la, 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 as they do best. And then they, it's like any restaurateur, any business that was applying for these grants and stuff, they'll tell you the maze that you had to go through just to get any sort of supplements and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, there's a lot of different dynamics, right? So you have
yeah.
a family of 5, and then you hear a lot of this, like, I have a family of 5, and then that somehow trumps like a family of 1, or
No.
There's a dual income household opposed to a single income household. It could even just come down to your politics based on how afraid are you of COVID? Do you think
Right.
it's this serious or don't? And then
Right.
all the different varying levels of severity. Like, we had the first round, which was obviously a little bit more dangerous than the second, and then Omicron comes out, and we're pretty much told, like, listen, this is a godsend, to where this is a gateway for us to be able to get out of the pandemic, and we're still messing around with this stuff. So
somebody must be making money. I think is what it comes down to. I mean, listen, I'll tell you what, it's taught us to learn to love everybody, even those we disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
I think we could definitely use a couple more lessons in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the convoy was big on that as well, in regards to like, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not going to pretend like this is my first show. Media does not portray things as as they are all the time. All the time. Sometimes they get it right. You know what I mean? Like, usually more the weather. Usually more the weather. But I think what was eye-opening for individuals, whether you agree with the convoy or not, I don't care. I really don't. And it's gone now. But for people that did make the effort to leave their armchair, right, or their couch at home and get out from in front of that black box and see it for themselves, and then just to see how it was reported on, those are two completely different things. Whatever your politics might be, without question, those are two completely different things. And the only decent reporting I saw on it was when they were live during the last day. And anyways, just to say is that it did open some people's eyes in regards to what media really is. And unfortunately, not being able to watch something that is supposed to inform us unbiasedly, it had a failure in doing so. And so,
but you're talking lifetimes of conditioning to break here. Like, this is, it's not an overnight thing. And the convoy is over, but I think the movement has just begun. Right. Because you're absolutely right. You can have people experienced, people that seen it on TV and agreed with it, showed up down there. And, I went down there a couple of times and I seen people be like mind blown, in tears, because it was the polar opposite. You've got beautiful native, women smudging downtown. Downtown smells like sage. And falafels, like, you have the Sheik Brotherhood. Like, they came up to my kids and my wife and I, and they fed us, and then their little guys like took out these hot pouches and like shoved them in our gloves to warm our hands.
Right.
It was unity beyond belief. And
I'm pretty sure I'm a different religion now somehow.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's very togetherness.
I found the light. I found the light.
All right, so let's get back to the restaurant. Okay, so you're enforcing the passports. What would you say now that you have a little bit of a better feel since we've gone through this reopening now? Like, COVID's disappeared temporarily, hopefully for good, to where we don't.
Still not open yet. We still have a few things to iron out with our friends.
Okay.
At the health firm, but the staff is excited. There's a new motivation. Today we went in there and I said, you know what, guys, we've lost so much. It's almost like we're starting over a brand new company. But at least we have 4 years of experience and we know what to do if we start losing.
Right.
So it was a pretty awesome day. We sat with the staff. We went through the menu stuff. So it's interesting. It's like you're starting back at square one with the knowledge of what you've learned since you've opened your company, been through probably one of the worst things that it could have possibly went through.
Right.
And your team is still standing there with you. So to be honest with you, I'm excited.
Well, what did you learn? What was your number one takeaway?
To put others first. Honestly, I mean, there's a big reason why I feel that way, but I've don't know. I've completely changed mentally through this whole thing, and I truly believe for the better. I feel stronger spiritually and mentally than I ever have. So, to put people first is what I've learned. That we're all people.
Yeah, your eyes are moving around a lot. Is there someone that you're thinking about in particular, or a specific moment that maybe it kind of just dawned on you how important that was?
It's my wife.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. Yeah.
Talk to me.
I hope people got what I'm a true believer of everything happens for a reason. I truly feel the reason it happened for us and our family and our team. And I really hope through all the pain, the suffering everyone went through, that there's some sort of light there for everybody, and that they're getting, what I seem to have picked up on. If that makes any sense.
Right. So was that, I'm just going to keep on digging.
Don't dig.
Putting your wife first, is that who you're speaking about in particular?
Yeah, and my team.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you were a little bit more of an order giver before. Yeah. And okay. Yeah. So putting your emotion on your sleeve. Yeah. You were telling me that you cry now. I hope you don't mind me. Yeah. You don't mind telling everyone. Yeah. So Matt's a crybaby now. But I mean, it's unlocked some emotion in you. Like it's new, it's overwhelming. And I have gone through that myself.
Yeah. It's unlocked, I think, the best corner that perhaps my soul was hiding from me.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Right.
And it's a lot of happiness. We tried to ignore the last 2 years as best as we can. We go into work, we just because everything really sucked, you know what I mean? And then when these truckers came through, it brought back that Canadian spirit, that energy, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's going to be lots of stuff there are a lot of walls that have to be taken down. And, what I seen happen on February 18th in Ottawa with what they did to the people, what they did to the veterans, like that destroyed me, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, that will never be forgotten. And I'm hoping that the good energy that this convoy created can reach the hearts of the people that even may not realize how beautiful of a thing it really was.
Right.
Because it gave people like me hope again.
Yeah, some extra fuel in the tank.
The side of the highway at -35, with all the kids and everything, and it was disgustingly freezing, and we couldn't be happier to be anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Right. If I could, I'd let every business owner that reluctantly had to put passports into place on the show because of this exact conversation that we're having. It's obvious that, you're a loving guy. You evolve through this process. You try to make everybody happy. And here you are having to put this passport into place. And there's people out there that maybe don't know you. And I know there's definitely a strong freedom push right now, but sometimes that freedom push gets extreme. And the fact that you just didn't stand up and say F to the whole system, right, to where there's going to be some people that don't want to have anything to do with you, right?
Because I don't know.
Right.
You never know.
Even though you did everything possible within your power to try to.
We wanted to be as diplomatic as we could while still respecting our team and our moral beliefs.
Right.
So
when is your opening date?
We're waiting to hear back. I'm hoping if they tell me that we're good to go for tomorrow, I'm hoping we'll probably open Thursday, hopefully.
Really? Oh, wow. And then, go ahead. What do people want to check out at the Pub House, bro? You do these great commercials, by the way. Right. These one-take commercials that it's like straight out of the 80s. Some of them, I love them. It's the wrestling one was one of my favorites. You definitely got to check out the Facebook page just to see some of those alone. They're classic.
We got a set of wings getting painted at the front entrance that people can stand in front of, and it says freedom. So they're inspired by obviously the truckers.
Right.
You want to come check out our pizza, and when we get live music going, we got the best. Yeah. We've got the best. Not that we just care to have it sound the best, and that makes the difference for the space, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you come hang out, have just the atmosphere and the vibe.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, you said a good vibe right here. And do you worry? Just I want to kind of get some closing thoughts here, to where one day, we're back in a similar position, and what would you do differently the next time around than what you did this past time?
Oh, I've already got that plan. We're already taking that route anyway.
Really? Okay.
I would probably leave Canada.
Yeah. Okay.
I hate to say it that way, and I am of the most proud Canadian, but it's the silliness has to stop, because it's an absolute clown show right now, and there's no point in pretending it's not. It really is.
The way it's been handled.
Well,
Everyone
just
agrees on that.
It's what the passport represents, right? It's the division. It's excuse me. It's the family members I can't talk to anymore because I'm not vaccinated. I don't have a passport, and to them, it's like that matters beyond any sort of memories and anything we've had before this all came to fruition. You know what I mean? The passport is God, and it's just it's unfortunate, but that's I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, probably leave. I mean, we're I don't know, what would you do? Not what I would do. What would you do?
Dude, I've said the same. I can't. I got through this winter, and before this winter, I was able to go to Alberta, and I had one of the most enlightening present experiences that I had in my life. I don't know, like I just it makes me want to tear up when I think about it. It was so overwhelming, and it just touched me so strongly, and that also fueled me, I think, to get me to where I am now. And of course, I will also give kudos to the truckers. And I've realized that even with the passports being lifted, that I have become institutionalized to where there's a social anxiety that I've even developed a little bit, where I don't want to go to a restaurant and have them ask me for my paper still, because it's like it hurts. That's all. The only way I can put it is that it hurts, and I would most definitely look at leaving this country as well to for my own mental wellness. I just can't. I can't endure it anymore. And maybe I should just take this as a moment, as for people that watch this podcast, maybe see me as being a stoic individual that don't catch my Facebook lives. I'm an emotional person. I feel it just like you do, and it's hard not to take it personally. It's designed to be personal, right? And I guess I'll ask you, Matt, what would you say to the person that owns a business right now that is thinking or is implementing this passport, even though it's no longer necessary to do so?
Thank you for the customers.
Yeah.
Thank you for the customers. I mean, in all reality, I think enough people are kind of waking up to that it didn't work, and I've heard of a few restaurants perhaps already in the valley that are still going to implement it. I mean, what else do you need to know about a if you're willing to segregate? I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about a human, right? All are welcome, baby.
Right. All are welcome at the pub house.
We're the place that we've even brought homeless people into the restaurant to eat. We get ripped off every time. That's their big trick.
Yeah.
They never seem to pay their bill. But I would say I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that doesn't happen. And if it does, then they have some soul searching and some some educating to do for themselves, and perhaps just some catching up. People are becoming human again, which is, like I was looking the other night. I'm like, what are people doing? Like the RV world, like it's up 600%. People are trying to unhook from the matrix and go become one with the world again, and explore. And that's a journey we might check out.
Right. Yeah, I think it's definitely had people think.
I would stand by my team. As much as I say leaving the country might be the solution, I would stand by my fellow brother and sister until I couldn't.
Right. Yeah, you put up the best effort you can. And that's what I did. I knew I don't have a lot keeping me here. Like I have family just like everybody else, but I'm not married. I don't have a dog, all that kind of stuff. And I knew that these passports are going to be coming into play and my travel was going to be limited. And I guess I just thought it wasn't going to be that bad. And then, it just kept on getting worse. It was just a nightmare.
It moved quick.
Yeah, it really did. And now to be where I am and to still not be able to find joy in some of the things that I used to do before, I really do feel robbed. I know that there's thoughts in my head that I never had before that were put there. And just through the repetitiveness of it all, whether you bought all the way in or you were kind of halfway out, It beats you over the head the exact same. I don't know how many more street signs I can drive by telling me to go get tested and to stay my 2 meters apart. It's like this Blade Runner bullshit that I just can't handle anymore.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that people do dig deep inside. It seems like everyone is worried about something else right now because the media has gone there. And hopefully everyone's learned their lesson. And like you said, if they can just be a little bit more present and be a little bit more kind and put other people first, right? Like not necessarily having to be right and letting other people say what they have to say.
I truly believe that we're all shifting in that direction. And I get joy from that. And for you, brother, you come down here, you know what I mean? Like, I know you're not far from Pembroke, so come on down here, hang out, babysit the kids for a night, you know what I mean?
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, you go out, you go have a night at the pub, and I'll take care of your kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
It's amazing. It's so life-changing, and I know we're kind of jumping topic here, but I went out for a snowmobile ride with a friend the other night, and he was telling me he works at a large place that's here. If you're from the valley, you'll know it's kind of one of those, those 1 or 2, 3 spots you really want to get in on, the golden ticket job where you don't have to do much. It pays a pile of money. Mm-hmm. He was telling me that, like, they're in the lunchrooms, and one of the biggest topics that these middle-aged men are talking about is suicide.
Wow.
People are, they need people like us to help pull them out of that kind of stuff. And we're doing it at record paces. People are finding light again, and it's, that shocked me. That was a bit of a shocker,
mm-hmm.
But let that be the power to drive you to, and myself and like-minded folk like us to be sensitive to people once they realize maybe there's a bit of duping going on. You know what I mean?
Right. I think that's a good close right there, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your time. If you want people to find you online, how can they do so? I'm sure someone's going to want to buy you a beer.
Considering getting rid of every social platform for my mental health.
Right.
Don't come looking for me on the internet.
Yeah, send me a telegraph.
Yeah. if you know me and you care that much, you'll find a way to get a hold of me.
All right,
now, come visit us at the pub house. Like I said, we're always around. We're always willing to come at the table, shoot the shit with you, within reason of how close we can be.
Right.
But, yeah, we just love people, and we're excited to just have conversations again. And the same thing as this with this happening right now. I'm sure there are going to be some far rights and some far left talks, but
right.
People being, humans are just humans, and people are learning how to be human again, and I'm excited about it.
Right. If anything, maybe we're learning how to have conversations again. You only get better through repetition. The first round wasn't that good, but hopefully we will improve over time. So thank you, Matt, for jumping on the program. Much, hey, no problem. Want to give a big shout out to my sponsors, my sponsor as well, GallantMEDIA. Let's just fucking do that all over again.
How's he doing?
I'll tell you why. He's doing very well. Thank you. Let me get back to my shit. Hold on. And big shout out to my title sponsor, GallantMEDIA, right there, actually, in Pembroke in the Valley, doing your graphic design, print materials, websites, all that good stuff. Yes. Did your hoodie?
Well, we'll say he did for this.
Well, what the fuck? I got to do this all over again. Why do you keep on fucking with me right here? You son of a bitch. Hold on. Fuck. God damn it.
It went too good at the beginning.
It is. You're like, you just want to make sure this tanks at the end. I must destroy everything I love. Yeah. Okay. So, and a big shout out to my title sponsor, GallantMEDIA, for your websites, graphic design, print materials, and more. Also, the sponsor of Showcase in Petawawa, which is happening for the first time in 2 years. That's going to be the final weekend of April, and we can't wait to host you. Upwards of 10,000 people through the door. So if you have a passion, product, or a profession that you would like to get people peeping on, make sure that you download the vendor package at showcaseinpetawawa.ca. Thanks once again for having it locked to the Launchpad podcast. You take care, be well, and love simply because you can.